You're looking to hire a financial advisor, are you? What are some of the things you should ask? I had a question on that, an email directly from a YouTube subscriber who said, since I'm no longer taking clients, what are some of the questions she should ask a pending financial advisor? Let's think about this. The first thing is you shouldn't be asking the questions. The financial advisor should be asking the questions. I can't say that more unequivocally. If the financial advisor is just yapping, that's not good. You need to be, he or she needs to be asking the questions. That's just a fact. So you go in there, we'll start from scratch. So you come to my office, what happens is you call, all right? You call, say, hey, I saw your website. I saw that you disclose your fees front and center, which is good. I'd like to schedule an initial consultation with you to see how we can work together. All right, and he says, okay, come on down at Tuesday at 2:30 in my office. You're like, okay. So you go in there and you can get a feel right out of the gate. So a couple things that jump out at me. If it says capital management in the title of the firm, I would stay away from that. That's not financial planning. That's investment management. And they're gonna do whatever they can to sell you on their investment prowess. So any firm that says capital management, no, don't go there. You're not getting financial planning. Are there some firms that do financial planning? Sure. Is that their ball wax? No, it's not. So I'm telling you right now, avoid the ones that say capital management. If it says investments in their firm name, avoid that one. Ed Jones, it says Ed Jones Investments. That means they're inherently not doing financial planning. Financial planning is secondary, and this isn't what we need. We don't need investment management. We need financial planning. So any firm that says capital or investments, stay away. All right, so don't even call it to begin with. All right, so now you go in there, and we'll just use a guy. He's across the table from you, and you say, "Look, my name is Mary, and my husband's name is Mike, and you're ready to quit our crappy old job. How can you help us?" And then see what the guy says. In a couple things, you'll get a gauge. In my opinion, if it's got like these hoity-toity lawyer, what they call white shoe or whatever it is called, they're running money as investments. That's what they're doing. So if they come out in three-piece suits, these huge elaborate offices, you're paying for that, and they're managing money for investments, and I would stay clear from that. So let's just say it doesn't say investments or capital management, we'll say wealth management, and you go in their office, it's just beautiful. Well, that comes from you, man, and so I would stay away from there because they're managing money, not doing financial planning. Look, I've been in this business a long time. I know how brokerage firms work. Now, if you want a brokerage firm, that's fine. That's fine. If you want a financial planner, this isn't what we want. We just want a regular run-of-the-mill office, nothing fancy, that you go in there and you got a good feel. And the reason you get a good feel is because the person you're talking to is asking you the questions. So you come to me and I say, all right, Mary and Mike, all right, so you want to retire. What do you say, I want to retire, help us. The first thing I say, well, why, what's going on? The first thing I say is, well, I hate my job, my this, that, and the other, I'm getting ready to be laid off, blah, blah, blah. And I say, okay, so what do you want to do? I'm the financial advisor now, I'm asking you. I don't know, I just want to retire. Okay, well, it sounds like you're retiring from something, not to something, so what is that you're going to do once you retire? And the reason I need to know these things, my friends, as a financial advisor, because everything is based on what you're going to do, because how is that going to be funded? And I say, well, Josh, I really want to get in gardening. I want to make a food forest out back. Well, that's probably not going to be as expensive as traveling the world and donating with Mother Teresa. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So all right, so you want to retire, that's great. What are you going to do? Are you retiring from something or retiring to something? Because if you're retiring from something, that means this retirement is being forced on you, which might mean you're not ready to do it. Which in case you might be bored quickly and not run out of money, but just when you get bored, people start getting bitter. I'm just telling you right now. So I would want to know that, like, what are we doing? Are we retiring from something, retiring to something? If retiring from something, could there be a potential that you might go back? And that's a big deal, because if you do go back, I need to have that in the back of my head. Maybe you just need a year off. your own little sabbatical, and then you can get right back in the workhorse because you actually don't mind it so much as just hate your boss or downsizing or something like that. But if that's the case, that creates a whole different income need than if someone's, I'm retiring too because I want to retire. I'm done with this, my whole thing. I just want to be able to raise my vegetables and moo cows back there. Whatever it is, that's a whole different thing. So there's two completely different scenarios. All right, so we're retiring to something. What are we going to do? Haven't thought that out. Okay, well, the first thing that a financial advisor needs to know, Miss Mary and Mr. Mike, is how much you need to live on. And you don't know. How can I devise a plan without knowing what that number is? I don't need to know it to the penny, but I need to know something reasonable so that way we can start planning for that. So I got to ask you the question, well, if you don't know, then how do we create a retirement plan if you're not sure what you're going to do or how much you need? Have any idea how much income you're going to need? And the minute they start throwing out a number, like the financial advisor now starts throwing out a number, well, you'll generally need 80% of your pre-retirement income. I mean, that's boilerplate stuff, man, and your stuff isn't boilerplate. Do not listen to that. Don't. The minute they start saying, well, you're making 100,000 a year, so we need to generate 80,000 a year of income, that's coming from the financial advisor. I don't want to tell you what you need. I want you to tell me what you need. What do you need to live on? I don't know. Well, we have to think about this. This is for the rest of your life. We got to think this through. Well, isn't the rule of thumb 80%? We want to do rule of thumb when it comes to you specifically? No. Then I would say, well, before we can really engage in this, I need you to know this, because how can I build a financial plan that's solvent for the rest of your life unless we know where to start? We don't know where to start. Now, a lot of financial planners won't do that because they know it's going to scare a lot of people off because there's some effort that needs to go into this. But I'm telling you, if you are serious about financial planning and your retirement planning and you don't want to put the effort into it, you're inherently not serious. So I'd say, okay. So, all right, let's just say, well, I have that. I have a pretty good gauge, Josh. I keep an Excel spreadsheet, so I think I'm $50,000 a year is what I can anticipate needing. That's okay. So now we got the first step down. We got the amount that we need, all right? So now we have the amount we need, all right? The first thing I'm going to say is how much Social Security. When's the last time you checked your Social Security benefit record? And you're going to say something, either never, been a long time, or recently. One of those three things, and we'll go from there. Okay. We can log in right now if you want to check your Social Security record, or just give me a gauge of your, and see, this is where it gets tough, of your income right now. And I'd say, and again, I'm the financial advisor. I'm asking you these things. All right, so we know you need $50,000 a year income. We haven't checked our Social Security record for a while, or you haven't, either way, but let's say you haven't. I say, okay, what's your income? And you say $60,000. I say, have you been making roughly $60,000 for the bulk of your career? And you say, no, in 2003, I was only making $30,000. I say, but that's the 2003 numbers, right? I mean, you've basically been making the equivalent of $60,000 in today's numbers, you think? I mean, you weren't digging ditches back in 2003 and now you're a corporate exec, right? It's like, no, I've been pretty much making, just cost of living raises and stuff like that. And so then I know in my head that we can start using, if you don't know your own Social Security and you're not willing to log in with my computer right there, which would make sense because this is your first meeting with me, that is okay. So if we're basically making $60,000 a year for a good amount of your working career, we can get a gauge of what your Social Security benefit would be. So two things are going to go on there. Either you know what it is or you don't. If you don't know what it is, I need to help kind of do a back-of-the-envelope calculation to figure out what you need in investments in order to make this happen. If you do know what it is, then we say, okay, all right, so Mary, we already decided we need $50,000 a year of income. How much for you and Mike's Social Security are you going to have? And you're going to say $30,000 a year. I say, okay, good. So that means we need $20,000 a year in income. Do you have a pension? No. Are you planning on working part-time? Well, I might, but I don't want to use that in my retirement plan simply because I might not and I might quit. Who knows? I just don't want to calculate that as a source of income. Okay. So how much do you have put aside? Because we need $20,000. We got $30,000 from Social Security. We need $50,000 total, so we need $20,000. How much do you have saved up in your 401k, IRA, and whatnot? Well, I got $800,000. Okay, that's good. So now we know that you have $800,000, and I will do a rule of thumb here, which is you can take 5% a year off. What's that? $40,000 a year. So in this case, you can take your $30,000 from Social Security plus, if you want, you can take $40,000 a year off of your IRA/401k, and that'll give you $70,000 a year gross. Now, if we factor a little bit of taxation there, there won't be $70,000 a year, but it'll be more than enough than what you need to live on. Does that make sense? Yeah, that does make sense. Now, and this is what I say. I say, okay, now, so we've already kind of established, I think, pretty easily that you're going to be fine when it comes to your own financial ability to put food on the table, given your income needs. But what I see is I see a big tax ramification in the future if we're not doing tax planning right now. And you're like, I'm only 62. I don't have to do any tax planning. Oh, yeah, we want to do tax planning. And so now I'm going to say, let me show you what I mean. And that's where a financial advisor, Mary and Mike, would say, okay, if you start taking Social Security now, it's only going to be $30,000 a year. But if you wait until you're 70, it'll be $45,000 a year for both of y'all. And in the interim, that will be tax-free as long as we start drawing down your 401k IRA now in order to fund your retirement. And then on top of that, start putting money into your Roth. We take a little bit more tax-wise now in order to avoid the taxes in the future. And that'll be a significant tax reduction, especially if Mike, you die first and leave everything with Mary. These are the conversations, guys, that I think financial advisors should say. Notice, I only asked how much you have invested one time, and I didn't ask how it's invested at this point. Don't care. We're trying to establish the fact that you are not going to outlive your money. So for a financial advisor, there's two things I'm trying to establish. One, are you going to outlive your money? And two, what's the tax ramification? So if you're going to outlive your money, then we're going to have to look at other things like annuities and things of that nature. But two, so there's two different paths, and they don't cross. They go the exact opposite. One goes this way, and one goes that way. It's like that author said, the road forked, and I chose. What did he say? I chose a path, least traveled, or something like that. I forgot what it was. But anyway, so we got to figure out which path you're going down: the least traveled or the more traveled one. And the least traveled one is when we talk about taxes, because most people don't talk about that because they're all talking about the 4% rule and how you invest and whatnot. I frankly don't care. We're saying we're going to talk about if you are not at threat of running out of money, and we know that right now. Okay, now the second big concern we have is as taxman. Taxman is a big deal, so we're going to focus on that. Number three, I'm going to ask you as a financial advisor, so when's the last time you updated your wills, your estate planning documents? I said, okay. And I'm going to ask you, I'm just curious, if you got hit by a bus today, Mary, now you're not dead, but just incapacitated, how does Mike here get access to your IRA? Well, he's a beneficiary. That's what you will say. And I'll say, okay, well, I just said you're not dead. So the only way he gets access to the money is if you're dead, and you're not dead, you're up in a hospital bed. And you'll see I don't know. You say, okay, exactly. So we need to go over your estate documents. What if you guys got hit by a bus simultaneously and did die this time? How would you feel leaving $1 million to your heirs? Are they going to be responsible enough to handle that, especially with the taxes that are pending in there as well? And these are the questions financial advisors should be asking absolutely in the front of the conversation. And once you get those kind of questions, you'll notice the last thing we're talking about is investments. We will talk about that once we've established which of the two paths you go down. You go that way or you go this way. Once we establish which road to travel, then we'll start getting into the actual investment allocation, but not on the front end, not. Now, I tell you, this takes confidence. A lot of financial advisors are worried that you're not going to come back. They're saying, oh, I better sell them quickly on my investment prowess or on what, I don't know what it is. I better sell them quickly because they won't come back and I'll never get a chance at them again. And that's a lack of confidence. The confident financial planners, ones who've been around for a long time and know actually because they've been listening for a long time what their clients want, are the ones who are going to ask you, well, tell me what you're trying to do. And they're not going to talk investments. And that's how financial planners differentiate themselves. And the ones who do that are going to be more likely to earn your business and trust than the ones who don't. So that'd be my suggestion when you're looking at hiring a financial advisor. No capital management, no investment in their name, the firm's name, no ivory walls or whatever's going on, ivory, what's it called, marble walls and all that stuff. No. No three-piece suits and Monopoly top hats, nothing like that. Just regular down-to-earth people who ask you questions. You don't ask them, they ask you. Don't go in there thinking you've got to ask questions because they'll answer it, but it's all trite. You go in there making sure they ask questions. If anything, what I do is I take a list. How many questions did he ask us? Because if it's one or two, no help wanted. If it's multiple, that's a good place to be. All right, hope this helps. See you next time.